Buenos dias. Annyeonghaseyo. And one more. Let's do Japanese. I just learned that more recently. Remember how to say it? Count of three. 1, 2, 3. Ohayo. Ohayo. Good morning. How are you? I hope all is well. We're going to start reading a new section now. We'll read a couple verses in Galatians. One more mention, please. It just came out. Understand my heart on this. Not making money out of the royalties of this. It goes to the church. I want you to buy a new book I wrote, first one in a while. It's called Fan the Flame, and I got it during the pandemic down in Florida, waiting on God, getting phone calls from people around the country, seeing things in Florida that I couldn't believe going on in churches. And I actually felt the Lord say to me, so what are you doing about it? And I started to seek the Lord. What can I do to encourage pastors to let's do ministry God's way for God's glory? And that brought about the book, Fan the Flame. Not only you can get it on Amazon, Christian books, brooklyntabernacle.org, but soon, because I'm going all out, I have never promoted a book properly for Zondervan, my publisher. They know that. I'm just not into that. But this book is different because of the nature of it and the critical moment we're living in. Get one for yourself, buy one for a pastor or a few pastors or a missionary. Galatians 4, verse 21. Tell me, you who want to be under the law, are you not aware of what the law says? So this tell me in the Greek is kind of like this. Hey, listen up. Hey, listen. Listen. Paul wants their attention. You want to be under the law, who want to go back and get circumcised and be Jewish before you're Christian and go back to the old covenant, the Old Testament, as a means of earning salvation. Are you aware of what the law says? And now he makes a big jump. For it is written that Abraham had two sons, one by the slave woman, Hagar, Egyptian, and the other by the free woman, Sarah, his wife. His son by the slave woman was born according to the flesh. We'll get to that. But his son by the free woman was born as the result of a divine promise. So let's just get that covered. It comes from the book of Genesis. The story is told, and you can look at it at another time. I'm going to find the chapter here where it is. And it's found in chapter 16. It starts in chapter 16 of Genesis. So let's get what he's saying here. You who want to get Jewish and want to get circumcised now, like now I'll be saved. Jesus is not enough. He says, you want to go under the law? Okay, so let's go back to the Old Testament. And now he uses, you could say an analogy, a typology, a symbolism. He's saying this. Abraham was the first covenant that God made, not the law. The law came 400 years later. Abraham simply believed God, and it was counted to him for righteousness. And God promised to bless Abraham's posterity, even though he was in his 90s and his wife was barren. God said, trust me, believe me. Well, the hardest part of faith is waiting, and his wife wasn't getting any younger. There was no child. So his wife came up with a bad idea. Sleep with our Egyptian slave girl, Hagar, and then you'll have an heir because I haven't provided a child, and then something will, at least something can go on in your name. But God didn't tell him to do that. God gave him a promise for something supernatural. See, so listen to me today. When God gives you a promise and makes it real to your heart, and it doesn't happen the way you think it should happen, don't bail. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't do something silly. Wait. Abraham got persuaded by his wife, not the first husband, to do that. So he slept with Hagar, and she gave birth to a son, Ishmael, who's the father of the Arab people. So then Hagar started walking around in front of Sarah, who's still childless. She's barren, plus she's old, no chance. And goes, I have a baby, I have a baby, you don't have a baby. And then Abraham's holding his son, it was his son. And then that set Sarah off, and Sarah goes to Abraham. I don't want to make a joke here because I could hear from my wife on this. Look what's happening to me. This woman is mocking me and walking around with the baby and singing this song, I have a baby. Why'd you do this to me? The Bible doesn't say. Abraham could have said, time out, this was your idea. But sometimes it's best not to say that. So he waited, and God said, no, I'm going to come through. And sure enough, not by virgin birth, but by natural relations to a barren woman, very old, he gives birth to Isaac. That's the child of promise. So Paul is now saying, so Abraham had two sons. One was by the natural way of self-effort. The other one was by a promise. And who got the inheritance? Who? Abraham, Ishmael? No. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. The line all the way down to Christ is through Isaac. Why? Because that was what God promised. Did Abraham earn that child, work for that child? No, it was a gift really from God. So he's now saying they stand for two different things. One, self-effort, the other one, believing the promise. Let me go further. He goes on to say, do you remember what happened in that story? You want to become Jewish? Hagar persecuted the baby born by promise. Ishmael was about 13 years older than Isaac, and he used to pound him or do whatever. Hey, Isaac, pop. Persecuted him. It got so bad that Sarah came crying and complaining and said, you got to get her out of here, and we're going to learn. They had to get her out. Why? Because that thing can't live with the other thing. Law can't live with gospel. Self-effort can never live with faith. It's grace, law versus grace. So we're going to learn more about that story. But Paul is now making an argument which is unlike any argument I think he makes in the New Testament. So he's likening, read it, you enjoy it. And while you're reading it, why don't you buy Fan the Flame? Only joking. God bless you. See you tomorrow.